I'm here. Welcome back, everybody. Sorry I'm a couple minutes late. For those of you on the live stream, for the replay crew, you're like, just get on with it, Gavin. Just get on with it. Hey, it's good to be back with you tonight. I I don't often get surprised. I just don't often get surprised. And today I was looking around on my regular true crime hotspots that I like to go to, and I was surprised. There is a media company that has been doing some terrific work. It's News Nation. They've been doing some terrific work in the true crime space, and I was really impressed with their reporting over the last couple of days on the case of the murder of Judge Kevin Mullins. Now, Judge Mullins was a 54-year-old judge in Kentucky. He was well regarded, well respected, and for some reason, and nobody could really explain it, the sheriff in the county, we're going to get to this video. This is just the beginning of the video. Done messed up, and on camera, he murdered Judge Mullins. The guy in question here is Sheriff Sean Mickey Steins, 43 years old. He had been serving as sheriff in that county for like 22 years. Long time. And when I first saw this video, this happened back in September. When I first saw this video, which I'm going to show right now. I think I'm going to show that right now. I want it pauses. It doesn't show the actual deed. Okay. So don't worry about that. It's the one that's out there. People have seen it before. It was kind of hard for me to find today. So I scheduled it to post on Patreon for my patrons later tonight. It's hard for me to actually find the original that was released, but I got it. So actually, why don't we just go ahead and watch this? Give me just a second. And don't worry, it doesn't show the deed. We're not going to do that. Here we go. They're apparently having an argument. Oh my goodness, he full on draws his service weapon, fires at that pause moment. He fires. Judge is okay. He reaches over and he fires again right there. Then as he's going out, there's some movement. Fires a third time. Now, from what I understand, the judge was hit twice, 2 times, and expired from his injuries. Kind of weird, right? I mean, and it while they appeared to be engaged in an altercation, an argument of some sort, man, that escalated quickly. Quick. So let's bring up our victim here. Let's bring up Judge Mullins. So I think what I want to do, I don't want to totally bury the lead here, but we're going to get to it. Don't worry. The allegation is there was some sexiness going on in the judge's chambers, and apparently not only did the judge know about it, he was in on it. So we're going to get there, but let's talk about the case a little bit first, okay? And I'm just going to do this by heading over to Acrobat over here, and we're going to take a look at an article from my birthday back on October 3rd, okay? This is just a quick timeline to just kind of get us up to date until today, okay? And I think, yeah, I've got notes here for how I want to do this, but let's just read a couple of these, okay? This was updated at the end of last month. It was just a couple weeks ago, so that's why I feel confident in this report. It was originally posted, like I said, on my birthday. Okay, Whitesburg, Kentucky. A Kentucky judge was shot and killed in his courthouse chambers with the then sheriff behind bars and charged with murder. That's kind of I don't know. I'm a quibbler, but kind of a weird lead. It reads weird. Anyway, the preliminary investigation indicates Letcher County Sheriff Sean Mickey Steins, once again, Sean Mickey Steins, shot District Judge Kevin Mullins multiple times following an argument in the courthouse on September 19th, according to the Kentucky State Police. Mullins, 54, died at the scene, and Steins, 43, surrendered without incident. Here's a timeline of what we know so far. Sheriff Steins was deposed on September 16th, so 3 days prior, in a lawsuit filed by two women. Now, we're going to get to this lawsuit. It's 24 pages. We're just going to read a couple pages, okay? The ones that are apropos of this case here. We're going to get to that. But the two women are Sabrina Adkins and Jennifer Hill. All right. One of whom alleged that former Letcher County Deputy Sheriff Ben Fields, and I didn't get a picture of Ben Fields. Sorry, I didn't prepare that, but it's okay. Forced her to have sex inside Mullins' chambers for 6 months in exchange for staying out of jail. The lawsuit accuses the sheriff of deliberate indifference in failing to adequately train and supervise the deputy. Okay. According to the Mountain Eagle, which is the publication there in Letcher County, Fields was a court security officer in Letcher County and worked for Eastern Kentucky Correctional Services, Inc., which provides electronic monitoring devices to prisoners who have been placed on home incarceration as a condition of their bail. By the way, this points out a screaming ridiculous problem, right? He is working as a deputy sheriff, and also he is working for this private company, which Eastern Kentucky Correctional Services, that provides the security bracelets, like the ankle monitors. Now, I know why he would do this, because he's not paid well. I mean, I was shocked in my county at just how little sheriff's deputies get paid. I was shocked when I found that out. I did in Pennsylvania, it's called a right to know law request, and got all of the spending for the county. I could not believe just how little they get paid. So I'm sure that Deputy Fields he wasn't even moonlighting. He was working for a private company that supplies the ankle monitors to the court. Okay. That is a problem, guys. Like, I understand that, and I've got to stop saying like so much. That bothers me. I bet it bothers you. Okay. I know that municipalities, counties, states have limited budgets. I get it. But when you pay somebody a very, very low wage, that means that there is going to be a low bar to entry into that career field, because you wouldn't go to the university and spend $100,000 on an education that's only going to pay you $17 an hour, right? So the people who get hired to do these jobs that are low wage, and it might not be true where you live, but in these places, I'm telling you, these small counties, they're low wages. Well, they just go to a police academy, they get training here and there, but they don't have to put in a lot of effort to get into that career field. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means that you are hiring from the same pool of people in the same socioeconomic strata as the people that they would be ostensibly guarding / enforcing the law upon. And that causes a real problem. It really does. I think law enforcement should be paid well, and they should be required to be trained well. Same thing with corrections officers. I can't even tell you how many criminal complaints I read of corrections officers that are smuggling drugs into prisons or engaging in SA against prisoners, all sorts of stuff. And it's because they're not paid well. There is a low bar to entry. And anyway, I was about to say don't get me on it, but I'm obviously already on it. Okay. So they provide the ankle monitor for prisoners who have been placed on home incarceration as a condition of their bail. The complaint alleges that Fields R-worded her while she was in home incarceration as a favor to avoid fines and jail time. Okay. Steins fired Fields for conduct unbecoming after the lawsuit was filed in 2022, the Courier-Journal reported at the time. In 2024, Fields pleaded guilty to third-degree R-word and all these other things, okay? Fox 56 previously reported that he was sentenced to 6 months in jail with 6.5 years on probation. Ironically, I bet he'll have an ankle monitor for a little bit of that. Okay. This is what happened today, okay? On December 6th, News Nation released audio recordings obtained from Fields' criminal investigation. The woman in the recording, Sabrina Atkins, was one of 2 women who filed the 2022 lawsuit against Fields. He does have some videotapes of some stuff in the judge's chambers, just with girls. Sexual stuff, Atkins said in the recording. We're going to listen to this. And then so on and so forth. I'm going to skip this because we're going to get out. Okay, September 19th, 3 days after Steins, this guy, was deposed in that lawsuit, where am I trying to go? This happens, right? Okay, so September 19th, the judge and sheriff at lunch, courthouse shooting. On September 19th, Mullins and Steins reportedly had a lunch meeting along with several other people at Side Street Grill and Bar, according to lead investigator and Kentucky State Police Detective Clayton Stamper during the October 1st preliminary hearing. By the way, I have that entire hearing. It's about 36 minutes long, which is not long for a preliminary hearing. Okay. Stamper testified that a witness said the judge was overheard asking the sheriff at lunch if they needed to meet privately in his chambers. Steins' attorney, Jeremy A. Bartley, asked for clarification during the prelim that some people were having a meeting with Mullins before the sheriff entered the judge's chambers. The detective attested that there were approximately 4 people in there. Then the sheriff enters the room and everybody else clears out. 10 to 15 second surveillance video played during the hearing shows once Steins is sitting in front of the judge's desk, he uses his phone to call someone and then borrows Mullins' phone to make a call. Stamper testified that both calls were made to the sheriff's daughter. Now, it was kind of alleged, it was out there at the time that this happened, that maybe his motive was seeing his daughter's number on the judge's phone. It appears that isn't really the motive. That detail that kind of came out was a misreading of what the testimony actually was, or what the information actually was. They're saying. So I don't know if it's true or it's not. But anyway, moments after the calls were made, the video shows the sheriff standing up. Let's do this real quick. I'm going to start it over. We'll bring it back over here. So it shows the sheriff standing from his chair and proceeding to point a gun at the judge, shooting Mullins several times. And it appears to me, let's see. Oh, it's not going to. It appears to me that there were 3 shots. One here. Then when he comes around, which is really interesting, I think he's trying to get him. One here, which we're not showing it. And then he comes back around, opens the door, and fires another one off and then leaves. It's weird. It's just weird. Okay. KSP said, so that's the Kentucky State Police, that at 2:55 p.m., multiple agencies responded to the Letcher County Courthouse after receiving a 911 call reporting gunshots inside the building. When authorities arrived, they found Mullins shot multiple times and he was pronounced dead. 3 p.m., Steins was arrested on scene without incident. So the sheriff was taken to the detention center, charged with first-degree murder. Okay. All right, so we keep going. Judge's funeral on September 22nd. Sheriff's arraignment. Governor asks him to resign. He is in jail, and he is still the elected sheriff. So he appears by video. He is next to his jailer, the public defender. He enters his plea, and I think he entered a plea of not guilty. Okay. Yeah, he entered a not guilty plea on behalf of Steins. Okay, the same day, Governor Beshear formally requested that Steins resign from his position. The letter asked that Steins tender his resignation as sheriff by the end of the day, September 27th, which that was 2 days later. If you do not tender your resignation, the governor will move forward with removal under Kentucky Revised Statute, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Sheriff announces his retirement on the 30th. The following Monday, Steins announced his retirement in a letter from his newly acquired attorney. It states that Steins, here's the letter. Sheriff Sean Mickey Steins has proudly served the people of Letcher County for over 22 years. He expresses his heartfelt appreciation and love for the support the community support this community has given him and his family during his time of service. Mr. Steins has made a difficult decision to effect his retirement as of September 30th. This decision is made not as a result of any ultimatum or in any way as a concession to any allegations made by the Commonwealth. Rather, Sheriff Steins has made this decision to allow for a successor to continue to protect his beloved constituents while he addresses the legal process ahead of him. That is some spin, man. That is good spin. Mr. Steins thanks every member of his staff, past and present, as well as those who have worked with him over the years. He asks for your thoughts and prayers of support for him and his family and asks that their privacy be respected during the judicial process. Okay, 1st of October, there's a preliminary hearing. They show the clip in the hearing. Okay, and then moving forward, there he is. In a prelim, there's no jury present, so they usually just dress them in their prison garb because there's nothing that is going to affect any juror, right? Let's see. Oh, yeah. A woman employed by the Letcher County Sheriff's Office voluntarily gave her phone to investigators to be examined, Stamper testified. She was reportedly one of the sheriff's employees, was present at the September 19th lunch, and received text messages from Steins regarding things that led to the shooting. The phone was also sent for forensic examination. Steins' attorney argued that the entirety of the video should be shown, but the Commonwealth rebutted that it was not necessary since the hearing was only to establish probable cause. He also argued that charges against Steins should be amended down to manslaughter due to Stamper's testimony that claimed there was no evidence to show the shooting was planned and was a result of extreme emotional disturbance. The Commonwealth obviously objected, and it was ultimately sustained because Mullins was not believed to be armed at the time of the shooting. Okay, October 11th, the attorney says the shooting wasn't planned. I'll keep on going. On the 21st, Sheriff Steins is indicted. And then, this is a death penalty state, so he's facing that. It's probably going, I feel like it's probably going to happen. And then blah, blah, blah. Okay. So that leads us basically to now. Okay. Now, before we listen or watch the video for News Nation, let's check in on your comments. Okay. Let's bring this down. You guys should be using GF to get my attention. Bring up the chat messages. There we go. All right. Let me make sure that this gets refreshed. See what you guys are talking about over here. Shanice Moore says, Gavin, the sheriff was actually well loved by his subordinates too, apparently. Yeah, the role of sheriff I feel like I'm yelling. Sorry, guys. I'll bring that down a little bit. The role of sheriff in a county it's a political position. They run for the position, but they take the job very seriously. And typically, a sheriff is seen as somebody who does protect the community. So I think that the community loved him. And apparently his subordinates did too. It was apparently out of character for him to do this. Thanks, Shanice. So Hyatt says, Gavin, I'm 2 hours from Whitesburg. Judge was texting his daughter. So that is what has been alleged. I don't know. I haven't been able to find any reporting that confirms that yet. But Hyatt, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your handle correctly. If there is evidence, I would love it. I would love, or not evidence, reporting would be great. Like, I gotta stop saying like. Let me come over to my website and show you something here real quick. If you go to my website, which is gavinfish.com, and click on this little icon right here, that will send you to a contact form. And if you know of any reporting that will confirm that, just send it my way. Because I am happy to be wrong about this. I just couldn't find it. So I didn't want to report it. By the way, let me just take a pause here just for a second. Because while we're on the website, I want to show you something that has changed. You guys know that I have this newsletter, Crime Cod. I have not been doing it very often, though I've got lots of subscribers to it. But that's about to change. I wanted to show you something. If you click on Crime Cod now, it used to take you to a newsletter page. Now it takes you to a full-blown website that a colleague of mine is working with me to. His name's Jake. He is writing true crime reports for me, and while you're on the website, you can subscribe to the newsletter right here. So it's a new thing. Okay, I invite you to subscribe to the Crime Cod newsletter on crimecod.com, and what the newsletter will start to include are true crime news stories coming from my team. Kind of exciting. But anyway, I just did that because I was already on the website. Let's go ahead and bring that down, bring your comment back up. Okay, so remember, Hyatt, that you can reach out to me right here, okay? Let's bring Judge Mullins back up here. Let's see what's going on. Oh, Jamie, this is a good question. How did he get a pew pew into the courthouse? It's because he's a sworn officer of the law. He is the sheriff. His office might even be in the courthouse. I know if you're a sworn peace officer in the state or you're a federal officer, you can and actually have a responsibility to be armed when you're in there. For example, and you guys, Jamie is the admin of the fish tank. If you guys don't know this, if you go over to the website and click on this little fishy, that will take you to the fish tank, our group over on Facebook. So she's in my area. But for example, Jamie, in the state of Pennsylvania, state police have them, all the sheriffs have them, all the municipal police have them, all the constables have them. And constables are another elected position. So that's how that happened. Yeah. Keep on going down. See what else you guys are saying. You guys are being kind to me. I say like too much. I grew up in the late 90s. I gotta stop. Glitter is Forever, one of my amazing mods, says the same thing. I gotta stop it. Gotta stop it. Mooney asks, so it has nothing to do with the sheriff's daughter. Mooney, that's the thing we don't know. We don't know if it has anything to do with the sheriff's daughter. I don't know. I would love to know if it actually does. But knowing that there's some sexy stuff going on here, if it did have something to do with the sheriff's daughter, the sheriff knew sexy stuff was happening and then found out in his deposition that, hey, there's video and the judge is involved and holy crap, you have been texting my daughter. Yeah, I can completely, I don't excuse it, but I can completely get how that would lead to what it led to. I'm hoping that we find out. Yeah, Marissa is saying the sheriff wouldn't do that without a big reason, right? I mean, he probably snapped. Okay, let's keep on going. Mooney. So the state of Kentucky will be paying his retirement even after this because he was allowed to retire. I don't know. I was curious about that too, because he probably has some kind of law enforcement pension. And that would, I don't know if he were to be convicted of a crime, if that pension goes away or if it goes to his wife. I don't know. Or his significant other. I don't know, man. I don't know. Becca says, Gavin, do you know if he'll be pleading it was carried out due to temporary insanity? So an insanity defense is a little bit different than what they are saying, which is that it was a passion of the moment thing, that this shouldn't be murder, this should be manslaughter. The indication so far is that he's not doing temporary insanity, but there's a long way to go here. We're in the very beginnings. Maybe he will do that. Schmoopy says, it's not Valley Girl like. It's fine to us occasionally. I will do my best to stop saying like so much. I was going to share a personal story, but no, I'm not going to do that because it might besmirch the reputation of young ladies that I went to high school with who I actually really admire and love. Okay. Gavin, I'd love to see you collaborate with Annie Elise from 10 to Life and Serialistly. I would love to collaborate with Annie Elise. She has reached out to me a couple times and has used some of the work that I've done in her videos, which is awesome. Love that. I love to collaborate with any other YouTuber. It's terrific. Is the sheriff's daughter a minor? At age 43, it's possible. I don't know. I do not know. Marissa says yes, but I don't know. Okay, that's a good play. Let's see. Is there a couple more here? Nope, we're at the end. Okay, good. So that's where we're going to switch gears here for a second, okay? Let's bring up the fish tank so you guys can remember to click that little fishy icon. Okay. So we read the article. Now we're going to get to the video, guys. I'm sorry I'm burying this. If you're really in that big of a hurry, I mean, I don't want you to do this, but you can go over to News Nation's channel and just watch it. But we're going to share it. It's going to be great. Okay. All right. We're coming over here to Acrobat, and this is the civil rights violation lawsuit, which is a federal lawsuit that was filed by Sabrina Adkins and Jennifer Hill, people that we learned about in that article in the Eastern District of Kentucky. Let me just, man, before I really get into this, Jamie's going to be like saying, preach, Gavin, right? Because Jamie does some amazing work in the jail out here. Anyway, the main hurdle that an inmate has to overcome when they're being dealt unfairly, and that is an understatement here, but when they are being dealt with unfairly, illegally, or abusively, the biggest hurdle they have is the fact that they are an inmate. I started looking into a local county jail in Western Pennsylvania about a year and a half ago. And that jail had been open for tours. Like they would take school kids there. They would take high school kids and middle school age kids to show them the jail, kind of a scared straight kind of a thing. When I, as a reporter, asked to have the same courtesy, the prison board said, I don't think that's a good idea, and they declined it. As soon as somebody is looking at the county jail, I should say the jail board. In Pennsylvania, prisons are what other states call jails, and SCIs are what other states call prisons. Anyway, that prison board said, no, and they start to hide things. They don't let you get the information. And the first thing that one of those prison board members told me was, Gavin, they're inmates. They lie, man. That was the very first thing. So this is the first hurdle. And by the way, there's truth in that. Both things can be true at the same time, right? That prisoners get abused or inmates get abused and inmates lie. Like both of those things can be true. But nonetheless, there will be truth in a lot of these cases. I would say many of these cases. And it appears that's what's happened here anyway. I find her credible. Okay. Sabrina Atkins, Jennifer Hill, and then the first part, it's introduction and is the jurisdiction good and blah, blah, blah here, the parties, so forth. I just highlighted, what is this? A couple pages. I won't get into Jennifer's stuff. I'm just going to do Sabrina's just because it kind of will give us the lowdown, okay? All right, so Sabrina Atkins was arrested in Letcher County, Kentucky in April of 2021. From April of 2021 through June, Sabrina was incarcerated at the Letcher County Jail. In early June 2021, Sabrina was released from the county jail and placed on home incarceration. They will do that if there's overcrowding, if they don't have enough staff, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Defendant Fields, a deputy sheriff with the Letcher County Sheriff's Department, was assigned to be Sabrina's home incarceration officer. After she was released, Sabrina had a difficult time finding housing accommodations in Letcher County. Of course she did. And there's no commentary on whether she's innocent or guilty of the charges that she was facing. But sure, she gets out of jail and probably doesn't have a job anymore and probably has a hard time finding home. Defendant Fields was aware of Sabrina's housing issues as well as Sabrina's domestic issues. Defendant Fields visited Sabrina in the evening the night she was released from the Letcher County Jail to bring her cigarettes and to quote-unquote console her. At this time, Sabrina notified Defendant Fields that she did not have the money to pay for her ankle bracelet, but she was terrified to return to the Letcher County Jail. This is the thing, guys. The court in this case, and in many cases, required the defendant to pay for that ankle monitor that private company charges them for the service of tracking them. And I don't have a problem with a private company being contracted to do that. My problem is that we've got a public servant who's a sheriff's deputy working for this private company. There's some blurred ethical lines there. So if she couldn't pay for the ankle bracelet, she was going to be put back in jail. So Defendant Fields made flirtatious comments about Sabrina's looks and body and told her that he was confident that they could, quote unquote, work something out. Sabrina understood these communications to mean that she would receive favorable treatment from, let's say, Deputy Fields if she provided him with favors. Okay? Thereafter, Sabrina and Defendant Fields communicated on a regular basis by text message because he is an idiot. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What are you doing? You're breaking the law, you're committing a felony, and you are recording your conversations by text? Come on, man. In late June, Deputy Fields asked Sabrina to meet him at the Letcher County Courthouse in the evening after dark. Defendant Fields took Sabrina into District Judge Mullins' chambers, telling Sabrina that he wanted to meet her there because there were no cameras. Except there are cameras. Right? At least in this room. But okay. At this time, Defendant Fields took off Sabrina's ankle monitor and told her that she would not have to pay the associated fees any longer, but could remain out on home incarceration. Wink, wink. In this place with no cameras. Between late June and December of 2021, Deputy Fields met Sabrina at the Letcher County Courthouse in the evening or early morning hours approximately 6 times. During these meetings, Defendant Fields' behavior escalated from flirtatious to forcible kissing to the R word. Okay? All of which occurred at the Letcher County Courthouse after hours in Judge Mullins' chambers, hereinafter the SA. Sabrina was coerced and compelled to comply with Deputy Fields' advances given Deputy Fields' position of power, and because she could not afford to pay for the ankle monitor and did not want to return to the county jail. Sabrina did not consent to the SA. These meetings would typically, get this guys, they would typically occur the night before Sabrina had a court appearance. Deputy Fields would put Sabrina's ankle monitor back on and otherwise fix it so that she would appear compliant with her home incarceration the following day. So I don't know what he was doing with that ankle monitor. If he was just cooking the reports, I don't know. But wow. So before she had a court appearance, they would meet in, where nobody would see him. He'd put the ankle monitor back on so that when she went to court the next day, look, Judge, here's the ankle monitor. Deputy Fields, what does the report say? Oh, she's a model home incarceration inmate, Judge. Nothing to see here, right? So upon information and belief in December 2021, certain persons at the Letcher County Courthouse were notified that Deputy Fields was having inappropriate communications and or relations with Sabrina, and were provided text messages evidencing the inappropriate communications and relations because he is an idiot. And I, for one, am grateful for stupid criminals. Oh my goodness. They are so dumb. And you would think that being a person that deals with criminals on the daily, that Deputy Fields would be smarter. But fortunately for all of us, that is not the case. He is a dill hole. He has no brain cells to rub together. Okay. Upon information and belief, Deputy Fields became aware of the information contained in the so he became aware that people were like, we know what you're doing and we've seen the text messages. In late December 2021, Deputy Fields stopped communicating with Sabrina by text message or otherwise. Oh, you think? Upon information and belief, in early January 22, Defendant Fields filed a complaint against Sabrina, claiming that she was not complying with the terms of her home incarceration. Shocking. Surprise, surprise. Upon information and belief, this complaint was filed maliciously. Retaliatorially. Is that a word? Retaliatorially? By Mr. Fields in an effort to punish Sabrina and in an attempt to save his own job and reputation. Sabrina was arrested January 26th of 2022 in Pike County, Kentucky. She was terrified that she would be transferred to the Letcher County Jail, whereupon her information and belief, Defendant Fields' wife is employed as an officer. Oh my goodness. And whereupon information and belief, Defendant Fields was previously employed. Okay, so he was a corrections officer. His wife is a corrections officer. He's now a deputy sheriff and working for the ankle monitor company. Goodness. Sabrina had and continues to have serious concerns for her safety and welfare if she were to be transferred to the Letcher County Jail. As a direct and proximate result of the defendant's actions, Sabrina has suffered and continues to suffer emotional distress, pain and suffering, and mental anguish, which leads us to la pied de, how do you say it? De la résistance. I'm very bad at French. I'm too Spanish. Look at me, obviously. No. Anyway, so let's get over here to Banfield, okay? I'm going to have a listen-y poo. I'm going to probably mute my mic, but don't worry, Jamie. Don't worry. I will unmute it, okay? This is a 5-minute and 6-second video from News Nation. Let's take a look. I'll probably pause along the way while we watch.
Before the United Healthcare CEO was gunned down on the streets of New York, the shooting that took our breath away was the killing of Judge Kevin Mullins right there in his own chambers. We know who fired those shots. It was on video right there. That was Sean Mickey Steins right there with the gun. He was the sheriff at that time of their rural Kentucky county. And he was also a close friend of the judge. And he's not a sheriff anymore. He's an inmate waiting for trial. But just like the CEO murder, the motive in the Judge Mullins case is a mystery, which means that the two men's long shared history has been under the microscope. And tonight, a gut punch of an exclusive to tell you about. It turns out there are recordings about the dead judge that tie him to some very dirty business in that county.
Oh my goodness, here we go.
A sex for favors scandal that sent a former deputy to jail and got the sheriff, who's now facing murder, sued in federal court. News Nation investigative producer Allison Weiner uncovered these recordings, and she joins me live now. You're such a great producer. I mean, we send you out to dig this stuff up, and then I have to have you on television to report it. What kind of a recording are we talking about, Allison?
Well, these are recordings from the criminal investigation into Deputy Fields, the guy that went to prison for the
stuff we were talking about.
Favor scandal. And Deputy Fields was convicted of rape 3, of sodomy, and also of perjury. So the recordings are from his victim. And she subsequently has filed the civil rights lawsuit in federal court. The victim is Sabrina Atkins.
Okay, so I didn't talk about that. Just so you know, the civil filing, yeah, it followed Deputy Fields being convicted of 3 different felonies. So then she filed, that's probably the reason that she was able to get an attorney that would do the work on this. That's one of the major roadblocks for people that are in this situation, is getting an attorney to actually do something. It's so difficult. And so many of them will try to do things pro se, and they just don't do well. But because he was convicted, I'm sure an attorney's like, yep, I will definitely take this case because we're going to win this case. And the case has been going. You can log into Pacer and see everything. Okay, here we go.
And she was interviewed by police about what had happened to her when she was an inmate in Fletcher County in Whitesburg. And that's where Sheriff Stein was working, and also where Ben Fields was working. And these recordings, I was listening to them, and I just sort of stopped and was like, I'm beginning to see that Sheriff Stein's life was coming apart, like sort of one thing, one block at a time. And this was not a good thing that I was listening to. And let's take a listen to it, and then we can talk about it.
He does have some videotapes of some stuff in the judge's chambers.
What kind of stuff?
Just with girls sexual and stuff.
What describe video?
Okay, what? They have videos in the judge's chambers of sexual activity. That's what she told police.
Have you seen the videos?
I've seen one partly, just them having sex with girls for to be able to get out of jail.
Who was having sex?
Ben and just some higher ups up there.
Who?
Okay, Ben is Ben Fields. That's Deputy Fields. So who was having sex with these people? Ben and some higher ups. Okay, who? We ready?
The judge and...
You saw the video?
Yeah.
What did you see on the video? I mean,
I've seen Judge Mullins having sex with a girl.
Who was the girl?
I don't know. Because I don't know a lot of people from over
Where was it at?
in his office, in the judge's chambers.
Is that the same?
What? What? So the issue that she's having with Deputy Fields, it goes way above that. If Judge Mullins was involved, and she said higher ups, and Sheriff Steins was indicted. What was he indicted on? No, he was charged with, what was that? With not properly training Deputy Fields, right? But he might have been involved, and if he wasn't, he probably knew about it. I mean, these things are open secrets. Open secrets. If one person knows, everybody knows. And she is alleging, Sabrina Adkins is alleging, that it's our victim, Judge Mullins, who was part of it, that she saw a video of it happening. Okay? Oh, it's such good investigative journalism. I love it.
Place that you were meeting Ben, is that how you know it was a judge in chambers? And this was Judge who?
Mullins.
Allison, wow, that's pretty clear. That's her saying Judge Mullins was having sex with.
Yeah, there's no equivocation, right? Ashley Banfield is correct. It's very clear. Who is the judge? Mullins. Like, how do you know it was his chambers? Oh, I've been in there. I know what his office looks like. This is his office. It's actually pretty darn, it's really easy to recognize that this is his office. Look at that quilt behind his chair, the things on the walls. It's definitely his office. So is this the motive? Was Mr. Steins involved? Let's finish this out.
These people in his chambers, just like the other deputy. Here's the question I have, because it seemed to me that it became an open secret among female inmates.
Open secret,
you can sleep your way out of jail because these men and these higher-ups, not the ones necessarily on the screen, this is an allegation only, will have sex for these release favors.
That's correct. And by the way, the Sheriff Stein, denied during his deposition, which was a couple of days before the murder, that he had any idea that any of this was going on. But the fact is that the plaintiff in the lawsuit, again, Sabrina Atkins, said that she had heard rumors and that you could exchange sex for not having to wear your ankle bracelet. She didn't say that specifically, but for some favors. And that's exactly what ended up happening, because she couldn't afford to pay for the ankle bracelet. You have to pay for the ankle bracelet weekly. And those are the allegations in the civil lawsuit, that Sheriff Stein should have known or knew about what was happening with Ben Fields. And Sheriff Stein is the big name in that lawsuit. It's Sheriff Stein and unknown superiors and Ben Fields. So he was facing some heavy damages and the loss of his entire career based on this civil rights lawsuit. And frankly, the plaintiff's lawyers told me, Ned Pillersdorf has told me several times, because it's like they were running a brothel out of that courtroom.
Unbelievable. Well, I feel like it's just the tip of the iceberg, because there's still a lot more.
I think it is the tip of the iceberg. That's a place where we can pause it. I was just going to see, if we go over here, this lawsuit is against Ben Fields, Eastern Kentucky Correctional Services, Inc., which is the company that does the ankle monitors that he works for, and Mickey Steins, Letcher County Sheriff. So yeah, exactly what she just said is the truth. And I don't think that anywhere in here does it use the word brothel. I mean, I didn't look. No, it doesn't. But it does probably say favors. Yeah, it says favors a couple times. It's it's chock full of this stuff, guys. So did Mickey Steins have anything to do with this? I do not know. Did Judge Mullins have anything to do with this? I do not know, but I suspect yes, he did have something to do with this. And that is, and if he was doing the sexy with ladies in his office, and even if the whole daughter thing is just that Steins thought that he might have been doing it with his daughter, that probably would be enough for him to just snap. That's what I think anyway, guys. Okay, so let's go over to what y'all are saying. Let's bring this down. We'll bring up your comments and let's see what we got. Let's refresh this. Give me a second. Okay. Mama Shem says that I remind her of Shaggy from Scooby-Doo when I say like, wow, Scoob. Nice one, Shaggy. Yeah, I am a little shaggy right now. My hair is a little long. Let's see. Let me go on. Letcher County. That's what I'm saying, isn't it? Am I pronouncing it wrong? Letcher? Letcher? Letcher. I don't know. I'm probably saying it wrong. Gavin, they only got cameras after this incident, is what I heard. I don't know, though. They say that they have video. She saw video. So does that mean that they were taking video on phones or something like that? They didn't have the actual video. I don't know, man. 3 days. Well, no, he was arrested. It was 2021. That's possible. It's possible. You're right. Servalan fan says you shouldn't have to pay for your ankle monitor, or it seems having a male deputy supervise prisoners alone. Yeah, that is one of the things that just bothers me, man. I shouldn't just totally get into it, but yeah, there should be some safety mechanisms for all involved, right? Now, you guys might be surprised to learn that in many jurisdictions, the courts themselves are run, they're paid for not through tax dollars, but on the fines that they levy against people. So, like when I look at dockets, or they're not complaints, they're docket sheets basically, all the information that's available in my area, every little thing racks up a few dollars on a person's sheet, on their balance. And so they're responsible for many things throughout the process, sometimes whether they're found guilty or not, in some cases, not in all cases. So, yeah, I think probably what's happening here is not only is the ankle monitor company making money, but I think the court is probably making money from the ankle monitor as well, because they make money on everything, because they've got to pay for the courthouse and the lights and the heat and the cooling and the staffing and the security and the lawn mowing and all that stuff. And taxpayer dollars don't pay for that in a lot of jurisdictions, especially, guys, rural jurisdictions. So keep that in mind. Becca, so did the judge know this was happening in his chambers? According to her, he did, because he was doing that. PJ Tyler, Gavin, I've always thought that the monitor has a GPS tracker on it. I believe they do. That's what I'm saying. I think he would have to kind of cook the books, right? He would have to cook the data to show that the ankle monitor was at wherever her home was that she was being incarcerated. It's scary. Jessam knows French from beautiful Canada. Oh, well then tell me how to say that. Is it pièce de la résistance? I don't. I've spent way too much time in France to not know how to say that. I was just in France a couple months ago. Cream puff, la pièce de résistance. I'm not going to get it, guys. I'm not going to get it. Nilani, first live. Glad you're here. Couple more things. Gavin, lawyer you know, did a video on this. He was going over the civil lawsuit and evidence against the judge. Check it out if you want. I will check it out. Lawyer you know is one that I read, or I watch frequently. But this is not the sheriff that shot the judge. It was the sheriff's deputy that was the guy that was found guilty, but the sheriff himself was being sued as well. And it was the Sheriff Mickey Steins, who shot Judge Kevin Mullins. So yeah. Ellian Griffin says, I think I'm confused by the people involved. I'm terrible with names. And yeah. So there's Ben Fields, which I don't have a picture of, who is a deputy sheriff. There is Mickey Steins, who is the sheriff. There is the victim / participant in the sexy time. And I don't mean like not making a joke of it. I'm just trying not to say the words, right? And then we've got a couple of women who are the plaintiffs. Pretty crazy. Corrupt to the core. Yeah, corruption, guys, corruption is something, I won't get it perfectly right, but what was his name? What was the name of that comedian? Why I'm just blanking on his name right now. He had so many amazing things to say. He's passed away. Anyway, he was talking about how, corruption doesn't require some type of orchestrated collusion. It just requires enough people to be apathetic. And that's how corruption takes place. That's, yeah. So. It was not Fields that was asking her the questions. Those were investigative officers that were asking her the questions. All right, couple more things. George Carlin, thank you. George Carlin. Love George Carlin. Let's I'm gonna bring this up. Gavin, Letcherus County. That's funny. These companies profit from poor incarceration. That is the truth. Most people who are in county jail are the poor. That is true. Gavin, while what Judge Mullins is accused of is terrible, it would really have been better to see him face the judicial system. Yes, exactly. Tanya, yes, amen. I can't add anything to it. What you said right there is perfect. Yeah, Indie Girl 48. That sure is a small town. I bet she was scared of the wife. Oh yeah. Yep. Gavin, Hillbilly Crime has good info from a local who knows all the people in the history. Oh, Hillbilly Crime. Hey, Jamie or Autumn, can you jot that down? I'm not going to pass it along. Hillbilly Crime. I'm going to check that out. Hillbilly Crime, thank you. Royal Order of the Frank. I didn't know there was a Royal Order of the Frank. What does one need to do to join the Royal Order of the Frank? Please go to my website and get me information. Go to my website, go to contact me, and tell me, how can I join the Order of the Frank? Okay, Order of the Frank says, deputy wouldn't have to cook the books. He could just leave the ankle bracelet at her home and take it with him to the courthouse. Yeah, maybe it's that easy. Maybe she had the ankle bracelet in her purse or on her person at any given time. They would meet up at the courthouse. He would unlock it, put it on her ankle, lock it back up. Could be. Royal Order of the Frank, that the fact that you are in that royal order is probably evidence of you being a terrific detective to be able to figure that one out when I didn't. And then Becca says, watch us all swarm Hillbilly Crime after this. I'm going over there. Guys, man, what a great time to be together on this Friday night. Those of you on the Rewatch crew, thank you also for stopping by. I'm glad that you guys do. Don't forget, you can go to crimecod.com. See what I did there? Little pun. CrimeCod. And you can sign up for the newsletter. You can read all about the latest stuff that is going on in the world of true crime. You'll notice over here on my website, I add the headlines here. So if you go to gavinfish.com, you'll find them. You can click on through. That will take you over to CrimeCod too. There's many ways to make it to CrimeCod. And then obviously if you sign up for the newsletter, you will get it in your inbox a menudo. I will do it with some frequency. Okay. So with that, guys, thank you very much for joining me. I will not be back tomorrow or Sunday, but I will return Monday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern with another case to talk about. With that, I bid you adieu. I want you to have a terrific weekend. And if you don't, well, that's on you. All right. Thanks for being here, guys. Take care. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.